What? Hi, this is Cheryl Gallant, your re-elected Conservative Member of Parliament for the renamed riding of Algonquin-Renfrew-Pembroke. On today's program, we'll talk about the technocrat cabinet, military taxes, and we'll take another look at the Liberal-funded cricket factory the CBC claims is just a conspiracy theory. A common mistake new prime ministers make is to put certain people in the wrong cabinet spots. It may even seem counterintuitive, and if you listen to the CBC, they will always think it's a brilliant move. The mistake they make is to put careers into cabinet. Another way to put this is that former police officers haven't made great public safety ministers, and doctors don't make great health ministers. Police are trained to catch criminals. Doctors are trained to cure sick people. The job of a minister is to oversee a vast bureaucracy, implement policy efficiently, communicate that policy effectively, and make political decisions when necessary. A government composed of only ministers plucked from the expert fields they oversee is the literal definition of a technocracy. Avoiding democratic backsliding into an unelected technocracy is a good enough reason not to put technical experts into political positions. Another rather obvious reason is conflicts of interest. It's why farmers don't ask sheep to watch the flock. They get a dog. Yet Mark Carney thinks it's a good idea to put a former Olympic athlete in charge of handing out money to Olympic athletes. And this is not just about individual athletes. Every additional dollar that goes to Rowing Canada comes at the expense of $1 for Ski Canada or Hockey Canada or Soccer Canada. Minister Van Coverden will be forced to have so many conflict of interest screens, it will render him useless in the job. Not a great start for the Carney's conflicted kayaker in cabinet. I've recently received word that the CRA is ignoring clear rules about soldiers posted out of country. The government policy is clear. Any person working for the Canadian Armed Forces outside Canada is considered a resident of Canada. Their income is from Canada. Their employer is the government of Canada. Here's what the government's own website says, quote, "You may be deemed a resident of Canada for income tax purposes if you have severed residential ties in Canada and you were one of the following: a member of the Canadian Armed Forces at any time in the tax year," end quote. There's nothing ambiguous about that. The language is clear. And yet I'm hearing from tax preparers that in some cases, CRA is ignoring the policy and classifying these women and men in uniform as being non-residents earning foreign income. The difference means that they lose the basic personal deduction that every Canadian receives. For one high-ranking soldier, this meant an additional $3,000 in taxes owing. For another, it was $6,000. CRA will demand they pay this money they don't owe. CRA will force them to go through a lengthy appeal process. If you're a member of the Canadian Armed Forces and are working abroad and have been impacted by this issue, please contact my office toll-free at 1-866-295-7165. The last time I mentioned the Liberal government's support for crickets, a senior CBC journalist went on an unhinged rant accusing me of pushing conspiracy theories, which is all the more unhinged because no one accused the Liberals of doing anything corrupt or conspiratorial. Many Liberals think people should eat more bugs and less meat. Many other people disagree. The Liberals put your money where their mouth is and funded a cricket factory in London, Ontario, with a grant in the amount of $8.5 million. The Liberals didn't hide the money. It was published online for all to see. In fact, it's a CBC that's trying to push a conspiracy theory that somehow says the Liberals did fund a cricket factory, but they secretly don't want people to eat crickets. All we did was try and draw Canadians' attention to the fact that the Liberals gave $8.5 million of your tax dollars to a company producing something we think most Canadians don't want. There really wasn't much more to the story than that. Yet the CBC went into full attack mode. As it turns out, there was more to the story. In fact, there are about $41 million more to this story. The company that built the taxpayer-funded cricket factory has gone bankrupt. Now, the company's creditors are trying to get their money back. Guess who the biggest creditor to the company was? Farm Credit Canada. Who owns Farm Credit Canada? You do. Farm Credit Canada is a Crown corporation. So you gave the cricket factory an $8.5 million handout and a $41 million loan. That leaves us with a lot of questions. Did the Liberals put pressure on Farm Credit Canada to give out bad loans to the cricket factory? Did CBC know the cricket factory had received loans from the government when they attacked me? The Liberals wasted $50 million on a failed plan to get Canadians to eat bugs. The CBC might not want to report that, but by keeping Liberals to a minority, we might actually get some answers about Carney's crickets. Live from Ottawa, this is Cheryl Gallant.